Every teacher will tell you to practice slowly with rhythms, but it took until I studied with Itzhak Perlman and got some very specific advice until this practice technique worked for me every single time. My name is Niv Ashkenazi, and this is I for Technique. In this video, I'm going to talk about the technique of practicing with rhythms and how to make it more effective. Every teacher teaches this technique, but a lot of the time, students hate using this technique. Some students don't think that it's very effective. They may have tried it and it didn't really work. For others, it sometimes works. And for many people, I think that they think that it's taking too much time, and if they just play it over and over and over again, they'll get better faster, which is simply not true. Every professional uses this practice technique, and the better you are at it, the more time it'll save in your practice. While studying with Itzhak Perlman, he told me that he uses this specific practice technique to solve over 90% of his passage problems, and it's the only tool that he uses for that. With a couple of really powerful tweaks that I got from him and other things that I've tested, I completely agree with him. This really covers most of the work that I need to do on most passages, and I'm excited to share these tweaks with you. We're going to use only two very basic rhythms, but doing this accurately will actually fix your passages, and the fix will last. You will need to practice less, and you'll succeed faster. The two rhythms that we use are long, short, and short, long, basically written as a dotted eighth note and 16th, or a 16th note followed by a dotted eighth note. The way most teachers teach this practice technique is first you need to pick a section that you want to play, and then you start with one of the rhythms. Most people find it easiest to start with long, short. Then once you've perfected that, you go to the other rhythm technique, which is short, long. And then you finally put it all together at full speed. Now let's talk about some tweaks which really raise the effectiveness of this practice technique. The first thing that I like to do is to play the pairs of notes as fast as possible. So even though you have a normal dotted rhythm, ta, 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 instead you're going to think of it as double dotted, ta, 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 ta. Another tweak that I do when I'm first starting to learn a passage is any long note can be as long as I need it to be in order to prep so that the next two notes are super fast. So it doesn't really matter that I'm not keeping the exact rhythm exactly the same, as long as my fast notes are super fast and efficient. The reason that I find it's important to play the notes really fast is that you are dividing up this passage in two halves. Basically, you have one that's long, short, long, like this, and another one that's short, long, short, long. And once we combine them, we end up with every fast note in the passage. We're just kind of dividing them in half. When we put them together, we have now played every note faster than you would ever need to play this passage. The next tweak is the most important one, and this was the one that Itzhak Perlman told me that really changed the way I used this practice technique. He insisted that I play the passage in rhythms 100% exactly how I was going to eventually play it in context. That means the bowing was exactly right, the bow division, how much bow speed, the sound, the dynamics, the musicality, the intention, the phrasing, all of it, and of course, intonation, all of it had to be exactly right. And until I got that right, I did not finish doing the rhythm patterns. This takes much more discipline, but the idea is you're already practicing it exactly how you're going to in context. So everything that you're practicing fully translates to the final way that you're going to play this piece. Some initial work that you might need to do in order to be prepared to practice it with this much discipline would be to figure out exactly how you want it to sound. Now, sometimes we can't play everything up to speed and sounding really well. That's exactly why we're using this practice technique. And that's totally fine. Fake your way through it the first time just to kind of see approximately what speed you want to play it at, what bow division, what the sound will be, what the dynamics will be, and get a feel for it and what might need to be fixed. Then try to put all of that together in your rhythm practice. Just to show you an example, I picked part of the opening of Lalo Symphony Espagnole from the first movement. There's a run near the beginning that is quite difficult and perfect for rhythm practice. Some of the prep work that I had to do was to figure out the bow speed in this passage. The end of the down bow, when I'm getting near the tip, it's in the middle register of the violin, which makes it really hard to project. So we're fighting two things: bad projection on the violin and playing at the tip where we have less weight and less sound. So we have to compensate. So what I do is I change the bow speed. So I plan out my bow. I start with an accent, then I stop my bow, and I use the last three notes with at least half a bow in order to get more bow speed and more sound. Then I attack the up bow, stop my bow, and then again on the last couple of notes, use a lot more bow speed. The other version would be like this. I'm also thinking of crescendoing through this entire phrase, and that I need to play it fast and cleanly. Now we're going to look at this passage in slow motion. This is at 500 frames per second on my professional slow motion camera. As you can see immediately, I'm attacking the string on the very first note, but then using as little bow as possible. Then as I reach the middle of the bow, I begin to speed up the bow and go real fast all the way to the tip. The bow change at the tip has an immediate accent and then a slowing of the bow, even more so than on the down bow. And then on the last couple of notes, I speed up the bow again. The whole time while I'm playing this passage, I am concentrating on creating a big crescendo, even though I'm changing bow speeds. This means that I have to adjust the pressure constantly to fit the amount of bow speed while also continuously creating that crescendo. Here are a few other suggestions that might help depending on the context. If you have a passage with some 16th notes, but they're interrupted by a couple eighth notes or longer notes somewhere in there, that's totally fine. Still treat the 16th notes with the rhythms and then play the rest of the notes as written. Obviously, these rhythms are not designed for triplets, but sometimes we have triplet passages. With the triplet passages, you can change the rhythms to fit a triplet, basically by adding an eighth note. And there are several different ways to do it. Some of them might be like this. The other option, which is a bit harder, is to actually keep these exact rhythm patterns, the basic ones, but apply them to the triplet passage. That means that none of it is going to feel correct because you're in groups of three, but doing stuff in groups of two. It's much harder, but it's actually very effective. Even if you have the music memorized, always use the music when doing this practice technique. If you're doing it properly, it's going to take a lot of brain power just to nail every detail, and we don't want anything extra getting in the way. So you might as well use the notes so that you can concentrate on the music. Of course, this practice technique is ideal for fast passages, but really it's useful for any sort of work where your fingers might be a little bit confused, where they might want to go down in slightly different order than what is actually written. So even if it's a slower passage or even a lyrical passage, you can still do this rhythm work. And just by going through it with that much detail, it will still improve those passages. Because again, remember, the most important part is to play it exactly how you're going to do it when you're performing the piece. As with most things on the violin, there are many ways to go about practicing a fast passage, but when done correctly, this is the one technique that you need to solve most every passage that you're ever going to encounter. This practice technique allows you to dive in deep to exactly what you want to do and how to do it. It lets you practice slowly and accurately exactly how you're going to play it when you're performing it for real. And it lasts a tremendously long time. Because you're practicing slower, but with a lot of intent to play it exactly how you're going to do it in context, it allows you to really control your playing and hone in on what's important. If you do give these tweaks a try, please let me know how they worked for you down in the comments. If you're interested in me making more videos about specific practice techniques and the best ways to approach them, please give a like to this video and subscribe.